Well, hello, everyone. Ron LeGrand here, and beside me is Mr. Lee Phillips. Before we get started, though, just a couple of housekeeping. Number one, you should probably have your phone nearby to take shots of this screen if you wish, or if you want to just take screenshots, because Lee's going to put up some things that you're going to want to recapture, which you absolutely won't remember. So it's when I go to a seminar, that's how I take notes. I just take pictures of the screens when they put them up. Number two, I hope you're in a quiet place where you can listen and not get a bunch of interruptions, and your attention is fully on what Lee tells you, because what you're about to hear from this guy is due to many years in the industry of helping us protect ourselves against predators and how to structure our entities and so forth, so that we not only cut down our tax liabilities, but figure out what what's going to happen after we're gone and all of that stuff. So I've known this man for, I don't know, Lee, I don't know how many years. Do you have any idea?
30, 35, I don't know.
I can't hear him. 30, 35. Yeah, that's probably
30,
true.
35.
Rich, you back there? Yeah. I can't hear Lee. All right. So I'm going to turn him loose here, and he's got so much to discuss with you. And Lee, I'll just break in whenever I want to interrupt and, ask questions myself, if you don't mind.
That's the way you do it. Can you still hear me, Ron?
I can't hear you.
I can hear him.
I can't.
I can hear you. It
Can you
says
hear me
that
loud and
my
clear?
mic's going.
You might just make your speaker out there.
Rich,
Yeah, I'm working on getting the speaker out there. But he's good to go.
he's not good to go if I can't hear him.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the speaker, I think.
No, I'm hearing it through the TV.
Through the TV.
Anyway, we'll get it fixed. As long as they can hear you, that's the important part, right?
Can they
So
hear me?
I'm going to just turn you loose, and he'll keep working on that. And then, again, we're going to have questions afterwards. So, guys, you need to put your question in the column. And if you don't mind, put a Q out in front of it so we can quickly pick out the questions. And we'll answer them, all of them, after after Lee's presentation is done today. So, Lee, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Can you see my slides, Ron?
I can. Yeah, I can now.
Oh, there they are. Okay, good. All right, we're going to get going. Is that what we want?
That's what we want.
Okay, here we go. What I'm going to show you how to do in the next hour and a half or so is to make more money, protect your wealth. I don't care if you got a lot of wealth or not so much wealth, doesn't really matter. We're going to ensure your family's security, and it's important that you do that. We're just plain going to make it so you can sleep better at night. We're going to change lives. That's what we're going to do. I'm Lee Phillips. Ron didn't really introduce me. I'm a lawyer. Liar, that's Texan for attorney. Y'all go down and see your liar, right? In fact, my grandson went to school this fall, and the teacher says, "What's your grandpa doing?" He says, "Well, he's a lawyer." And the teacher said, "Honest?" And my grandson said, "No, he's just a regular one." At any rate, that's my wife, Christy. Christy and I both became lawyers. We never thought we would. And I'm actually a United States Supreme Court counselor, U.S. federal tax court attorney. I work in the claims court, which you've never heard of. It's just below the U.S. Supreme Court. It's where you sue the federal government, and that's kind of fun. I'm here for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is I understand you. I understand. I understand when you have a little business. I understand when it goes well. In fact, I understand when it fails. I understand when the IRS sees your assets, somebody's sick, somebody dies, you get sued. There isn't anything here that we're going to talk about today that I personally haven't been through. And because I've been through it, I can lead you out and around the problem a whole lot better than a lawyer who's never been there. You see, I'm not supposed to be a tax, asset protection, business type structure lawyer. No, I'm supposed to be a patent attorney. I have a bachelor's degree in geology and physics, a master's degree in analytical nuclear chemistry, and a doctorate in law. I graduated from law school. I went out one of the highest paid lawyers. I went out and I worked for 3 weeks in the big time patent firm. And at the end of 3 weeks, 10 years of education was gone. Well, I live in a nice area of the city, live up on a little hill. My block and the block next to us live 38 MDs. So they call this little hill Pill Hill, right? One Sunday, I figure I'm having chest pain. So my wife, Christy, she gets on the phone. She calls up Mary. Now, Mary and Leland, they're good friends, live 4 or 5 houses down the hill. Leland happens to be the local cardiologist. So Christy gets hold of Mary and says, hey, Mary, Lee's having chest pains. Could Leland look at him? And Mary says, sure, come on down. So I went down to the house that evening, and Leland looked at me in the home. And on the way out down the big entry hall, I remember he made a real strange statement. He says, you know, Lee, anytime somebody's seriously ill, they can go in the hospital, they can recover their health, they can live a normal life. They're extremely blessed. And I thought, yeah, Leland, I mean, you're the cardiologist. You deal with people who die all the time. Understand. And then he said, oh, by the way, Lee, I'd like you to check yourself in the hospital tomorrow. I'm going to have a bed ready for you. I want to run a test. So the next day, I'm strapped onto the x-ray machine. Christy, she's up in the control room behind the glass panel with all the radiologists. 3 of them live on our block, our street, good friends. And I noticed they take her out. Then one of my good friends, radiologist Gary, comes and he stands alongside the x-ray table and he says, well, Lee, you're having chest pains. And I thought, well, good, then it's not all in my head, huh? He says, Lee, you've got a tumor. It's a little over 8 inches in diameter. It's crowded up against your heart, and your heart's having a hard time. I said, well, Gary, can you take it out? And my friend Gary stood there and he said, no, we'd never operate on you. We've done a CT scan on your entire body now. Lee, you have very advanced cancer. Your cancer now involves all the organs of your body. I said, Gary, what does that mean? And my friend Gary stood there and he said, Lee, we've talked about it. We expect you will live another 2 to 3 weeks. And that ruins your day. I spent the next 5 months in an isolation intensive care unit. I didn't work for 3 years after that. Do you want to ask me what an illness does to a small or no financial fortune? I mean, I know exactly how it works. We're not talking I was just sick. We're talking we're flying drugs from the East Coast to the West Coast in the middle of the night on chartered airplanes, full life support, average cancer patient, 2-3 treating doctors. I had 53 treating doctors. I received bills from over 250 doctors. I mean, I don't even remember most of it. I do remember losing my hair, though. I used to have hair, more hair, okay? I remember I woke up in the middle of the night with choking and spitting this hair. And it was all over the pillow. And I got the bed tray, I swung across the bed, and there was a little cosmetic drawer in it. I just pulled this little drawer out, and then I just literally took all my hair off and I put it in the little drawer. And for the next few months, people would come into the hospital and they'd say, oh, Lee, you've lost your hair. And I'd say, no, I haven't. It's right here in the drawer. Look, I took, you know, Christy and I, we were 27 years old. We lost everything. Literally, if our parents hadn't stepped in and helped, Christy and our 3 little kids would have been sleeping in a car. It wiped everything out. And I swore I didn't go back to be a patent attorney. I swore it would never happen to me again. And I swore I would help people so it never happens to them too. Would you like to make it so it never happens to you? If we're going to do asset protection, we've got to understand where the threat comes from. If I say asset protection, your knee-jerk reaction is a lawsuit. Well, a lawsuit is this much of a problem that's this big. Where's the rest of this? This is where they're going to get you. Oh, we got to protect you against the lawsuit. No question. But where's the rest of this? Well, that's my wife, Christy, about 8 or 9 years ago. She's in a wheelchair. She's 100% paralyzed. She's on a ventilator. She's basically on full life support. She operates the wheelchair and everything with a computer. The computer screen literally reads her eyeballs. You're going to see this in the metaverse. It's pretty cool, guys. But she has a disease called ALS, 100% fatal. She died 7 years ago. But I didn't work for 5 years. I just came to dead stop, and I took care of Christy. However, I had planned. I had planned to the nth degree. I was just off the charts planning. Always. I used the most powerful tools that we have today. And my retirement was okay. My business was okay. My house, everything, it was okay because I had planned. The reason I bring this up is 56% of all bankruptcies in the United States are a result of somebody in the family getting sick. The question is, are you going to lose your real estate investments? Are you going to lose your little business when somebody in the family gets sick? And the answer for most of you is, yeah. You've got a plan right now if you want to survive that one. But wait, 56% of all bankruptcies? That's not even your biggest threat. What's your biggest threat? The IRS guys, they're taking 20, 30, 40% of everything that walks in the front door. Isn't that an asset loss? I mean, look, what you're doing is you're sitting there saying, no, Lee, I'm fine. I've already got my CPA. The guy's doing a great job for me. I got my LLC. He's doing perfect. With the numbers I give him, I couldn't do better. There's a statement in there, though. With the numbers I give him, look, all through the year, you've got to plan your taxes. I need to think, how do I structure this deal for the best tax result? How do I figure it out? Our goal is to cut your taxes 20%. Is that a good goal? Yes or no? Would you go for it? You think, what did I pay in tax last year? What's 20% of that? The problem is you can't do anything with your taxes. We're going to have to control what we call adjusted gross income. And you can't control your adjusted gross income. There are two ways that you can take care of your adjusted gross income. One is your little company, and two is your real estate investments. Those are your two tax shelters, guys. But your accountant's never brought you in, put his arm around you and said, we need to teach you how to use your little business. We need to teach you how to use your real estate as a tax shelter. They've never done that. As a result, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, guys. I'll guarantee it. I'll absolutely guarantee it. Your accountant, he's not a real estate investor. He's a conservative dude. And he doesn't understand it. Oh, yeah, he gets the basics, but there are lots of little things that you can tweak. I'm a real estate investor. And I went out and studied real estate taxation about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was amazed at what I learned and the money I saved. And I thought I was doing pretty good. So you're leaving money on the table. We've got to get the adjusted gross income down, the AGI. 80% of you don't even know what it is. You got to understand what it is. I prepared a set for you called the Advanced Tax Tactics. In here, I go through a dozen ways we drop your AGI, your tax rate, basically. And I'm not talking about $2,000 or $3,000 in deductions. I'm talking about taking a dentist that has $450,000 in income and dropping him to under $150,000. That's what we're talking about, guys. I've got a 100-page workbook here for you and 5 hours of audio where I sit you down and I go through a dozen techniques that you can use to cut your AGI, drop your taxes, save money. And it's incredible what you can do. But I went out on the internet 10, 15 years ago to see what I could do to cut my AGI. In all dead seriousness, the number one thing that they said to cut AGI is adopt kids. These people have never raised a child. You don't raise a child for a tax deduction. I'm sorry. So I go in and I show you step by step how to do it. But wait a minute. Your little business is your tax shelter. How are you going to structure your little business? We're going to talk about LLCs today. It's the most powerful legal tool that we have today. A lawyer only has so many tools. An accountant or a carpenter only has so many tools. But here's the question. Does the hammer drive nails in or pull nails out? All of these tools have different functions. You need to learn how to use the tool to drive nails in and pull nails out. Now, your lawyer half the time doesn't even understand that, how to use the tool. I don't learn anything in law school. When I go to law school, I learn some basic stuff. Then I go to the firm, and the firm shows me how to do it. And I use the tool that they have. This firm uses this tool for asset protection. This firm uses the same tool for tax stuff. Unfortunately, if I maximize the tax stuff, I may minimize the asset protection stuff. So there's a conflict. You have to direct your lawyer. You don't have to do the legal work, although you can. It's easy. But you have to know what to do. You can't rely on the accountant and the lawyer to do it for you. A number of years ago, a guy called me up. He runs an big ad agency in Los Angeles. And he says, Lee, my LLC, it didn't protect me. It didn't do what I was supposed to do. For decades, this guy and his partner had run this ad agency as a partnership. And they thought, well, man, we need asset protection. No asset protection in a partnership. So they went to Legal Doom and they got an LLC. Does Legal Doom give you a legal LLC? Absolutely, 100%. So they got their LLC. And about 6 months later, they actually did get sued. It took about 15 minutes in court for the opposing team to say, hey, Your Honor, we don't have to worry about this LLC. We can sue these two guys directly, personally. And the judge said, yeah, you're right. So this guy's got me on the phone and he says, Lee, what happened? It didn't work. So I actually made the guy go through the materials I have and understand LLCs. And once he did that, he could see why it didn't work. You have to know why it didn't work because your attorney isn't going to show you how to make it work. And Legal Doom ain't going to show you how to make it work. And if you think AI today is going to show you what to do, you got another thing coming, sweetheart. So you've got to understand it. The fact is, the vast majority of LLCs, they fail. They like 85% fail to protect the people when they get sued. They don't work. And nobody uses this as a tax shelter, and yet they're your most important tax shelter. I've got to show you how to make them so they protect you, and then make it so that you can make more money with it. This is a powerful tool, the limited liability company. What I've done is I've set up a system for you so that you can put your own LLC in place. Some of you have already done that. It's easy. Why would you ever hire an attorney to do it? You can do it better than the lawyer. I'm going to show you how. I've developed a 6-step system for you. First, we're going to identify whether or not you actually need an LLC. Then we're going to establish the LLC, which state you're going to do it in. How many LLCs do you have? Then we're going to decide the tax structure. How are we going to have this baby taxed? Now, wait a minute. I haven't written the operating agreement, my rule book, my bylaws. Haven't written that yet. And yet I've decided the tax structure. You have to decide the tax structure first. Now you think, did the internet guys that set up your LLC, did they ask you what the tax structure was going to be? Your lawyer, did he ask you what the tax structure is going to be? No, they just generate the documents that they have on file and spit them out and give them to you. You have to understand what needs to be addressed in your operating agreement. Then we're going to figure out how to take care of this LLC. What's the care and feeding? How do I guarantee that when I get into court, it does protect me? And finally, I'm going to give you double the asset protection of a corporation or any other legal entity. This is cool, guys. Want to watch? The system is called the LLC Wizard. I actually originally put it in a big binder, and we had several hundred pages of of documentation here for you. And I had 6 hours of audio instruction where I do a deep dive. So each chapter had a CD with it. Actually, the operating agreement has almost 3 hours of CDs. No, we don't have CDs anymore. It's all in the cloud. But I explain it to you, and then all of the documents that you need in order to not only set up, but operate your LLC, they're all in digital file in Word for you. You can just put your name, address, and phone number in, and I do teach you how to customize them for yourself. So I show you step by step what to do. This is a piece of cake, guys. Watch. It's easy. The first thing we're going to do is decide whether or not you need an LLC. So what I'm going to do in the LLC wizard system is I give you a questionnaire. Based upon your answers to the questionnaire, I put you on a business matrix, and it decides which entity you want. Now, we're just going to assume for our discussion today that you want an LLC. And I'm going to tell you, in like 95% of the cases today, you do want the LLC. That's the tool that you're going to use. And in fact, I'm going to tell you, if you've got a corporation and it has assets in it, you have a piece of real estate and a corporation, the answer is no and hell no. You're going to change it to an LLC. This change is easy. I walk you through it step by step. You don't need a lawyer. You don't need to talk to your accountant. It's all done on your state's websites. And I show you exactly what to do, how to deal with the IRS. It's a piece of cake, guys. Easy peasy. You can do it, no problem. So we're going to assume you need the LLC. And I'm going to tell you that if you've got a corporation with assets in it, you're going to convert it to the LLC. I'm not going to argue with you there. Second step is, okay, how do we establish the LLC? Where do we establish the LLC? Which state? What are we going to do? Well, I go in and we talk about what how you're going to establish your LLC. You're going to choose an LLC for one of two reasons. Either your taxes or your asset protection needs. Those are the two that you consider. Now, which state? A lot of people running around today saying, oh, you need to go to Wyoming. You need to go to Nevada. You need to go to New Mexico. You need to go to Utah. You need to go to Delaware. Where do you put your LLC? I go into a big discussion for you in the LLC wizard, but let's kind of overview it right now. How does that sound? They say you need to go to Wyoming because it's private. Nobody knows you set up your LLC. In Wyoming, the registered agent, the dude that you're paying, he can put his name on the filing with Wyoming for the LLC. Okay, that's fine. Now, nobody knows who the LLC is in Wyoming. However, your piece of property is in Florida or in Georgia or in New Mexico or in Delaware. No, in Detroit, Michigan, wherever it is. You have to take that Wyoming company and register it in Florida. Because if I'm your tenant and I'm renting in Florida and I figure out this company or this Wyoming company owns the piece of property in Florida, guess what? I ain't paying any rent. And there's nothing you can do to me. You can't evict me. You can't do nothing. This Wyoming company has no rights in Florida. So it has to be registered in Florida. When you registered in Florida, Florida has a little law. All states have a little law that says, oh, by the way, when you register your Wyoming company in Florida, you are now subject to all Florida laws. The registration has to be the same as if you did it originally in Florida. You pay all the Florida fees. You're subject to all Florida laws. You're playing in my sandbox. You're going to play by my rules. Every state says that. So I now know who the owner is of the company in Florida. I'm paying all the Florida fees, and I'm paying all the Wyoming fees. I'm paying double fees. Fees are exactly the same as if I originally set it up in Florida. So, okay, why did I go to Wyoming? Oh, well, I went to Nevada or Wyoming. There's no state income tax. Well, actually, there is, but they tell you there's not. Okay. But I don't care about that. I could put my company, my LLC in any state. There's no state income tax for this LLC in any state except the state where I make money. There I have to pay my tax. So if I set up a Illinois LLC registered in Florida, do the business in Florida, collect the rents in Florida, that's where I pay the tax. I will always pay zero tax in Illinois or Wyoming or wherever it is because I didn't earn any money there. I've got to file a Wyoming tax return. So I've added my expense because I've got to tell Wyoming I didn't make any money there. I file a Florida tax return and say I made money in Florida and Florida taxes it. So the fact that there's no tax or there's claimed to be no tax in a state, any other state, that's okay. I pay the tax where I make my money. So why did I go to Nevada? Oh, because it didn't have any tax, right? Okay, if you say so. Oh, but there are better laws in Wyoming. And Wyoming actually does have pretty good laws. The laws are basically the same state. I mean, you go down and you get your LLC set up, you do the bylaws, whatever it is. You can go to any big firm downtown, big glass building. They're going to charge you what, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to set up your LLC in that big glass building. The paperwork is going to look identical to the paperwork I have here for you in the LLC Wizard. How do I know that? Because lawyers get together and we create what are called uniform acts. The last big, we have about 160 of them. The last big uniform act was actually the LLC Act of 2006. You never heard about an LLC until 2006. I'll pretty much guarantee it. The reason is the lawyers didn't know what to do. When the lawyers make this ideal law, this uniform act, then the states adopt the act. And now I know it's consistent state. And I know how to design the documents because the law, the Uniform Act, tells me what I need to do. So, okay, Wyoming has better laws. Actually, they don't. Not to many states. Some states have screwed it up. I'll give you that. And in the 6 hours of audio, I have to go in and point out the differences for state. But they're not big deal. And I can do it for you for with no problem. Okay. So we're going to set it up. The laws, well, I'm in Florida. I have to use Florida laws anyway. Why did I bother going to Wyoming? And the lawyer just said, Phillips, you're nuts. You're an idiot. You're not a good lawyer. You're supposed to use some procedural laws that are in Wyoming. But the case is in Florida. The judge is in Florida. Florida law says you're using Florida law. These little nuances, they don't mean anything. You're in Florida, boys. Or Georgia, or wherever you are. So exactly why are we doing this? We don't save any costs. In fact, we have double costs. We have costs in Wyoming. We have costs in Florida. Same costs as if I originally put it in Florida. So I'm paying the extra freight in Wyoming. I doubled my cost. Why did I do that? I don't know. You can't give me a reason why there's a bunch of guys going around and they're selling you for $6,000. They'll give you 3 Utah LLCs. I know Utah law. I'm in Utah. And I'll tell you, Utah has the suckiest LLC laws in the United States. All my LLCs are in Utah because my property's in Utah. My business is in Utah. I have to deal with Utah. So they give you these 3 Utah LLCs. And I meet, if I'm in a big live audience, I'll meet 2 or 3 people that say, yeah, I got my 3 LLCs in Utah. Why? How do you unwind this? In the LLC Wizard, I actually go in and show you how to unwind these problems that you may be dealing with. But we got to deal with them, guys. And you can't give me a reason why you have a Wyoming LLC. You just can't do it. You've wasted your money. We got to unwind it and get you out of it. That's the best thing you can do. Oh, it's anonymous. Yeah, that's what they all say. Anonymity is the poor man's asset protection plan. Years ago, a guy called me up and he wanted me to do an asset protection plan for him. And I said, okay. And I kept saying, we'll do this. And he kept saying, no, I can't do that. That would expose me. I'm off the grid. And finally, I got mad enough at this guy. I said, give me an address. The deal was all I could use was an address. And I don't care if it was in a land trust. I don't care if it was in an LLC. I don't care where it was. Give me a give me an address. That's all I want. With that address, and I'll give it to you. I have access to databases you guys don't have access to, and I'll give it to you. This one cost me money, but I was mad enough. So with that address, does the tenant know the address of where they live? And I don't care if it's in the LLC or the corporation or the land trust. I don't care where it is. I don't care how you own it. With that address, I came back with a 40-page printout on this guy. I had every piece of property he'd even smelled. I had every phone number he'd ever had. I had every wife he'd ever had. I had every insurance policy he'd ever had. I had everything on this guy. I sent it off. I faxed it off to him. That'll tell you how long ago it was. I faxed it off to him. Didn't hear back from him for 3 days. Finally, the guy gets me on the phone and he says, okay, Lee, anonymity doesn't work. Now what do we do? I mean, I can literally tell you what brand of underwear you're wearing sitting there listening to me today. We got it down that good, guys. We got it down that good. So
Sorry,
which
can I interrupt you?
Sure. You want to know what brand of underwear you're wearing, Ron?
No, I don't even know.
You're not even wearing them? You're going commando today?
What makes you think I'm even wearing any? Okay. Are you going to get to the LLC mistakes people make? Number one, based on what you just said, the only thing that you're going to do if you're suing is try to pierce the corporate veil so you can come after the owners of the LLC. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So, what would make my LLC so weak they could pierce it? I mean, there's several things.
Well, we're going to get to what I call the formalities, and I'm going to show you what I do in court with you.
Well, if you're going to get to them, then I'll draw back. I'll take the question back. All right.
I think I'm going to get to them. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's make sure we get to them.
Let's keep going. The question is, here's the question. How many LLCs do you have? The concept is don't keep your eggs all in one basket, right? So I got a dozen eggs, but I can't walk down the street carrying a dozen baskets. I'm going to start dropping baskets and breaking eggs.
Mm-hmm.
How many LLCs do you have? I'm going to say don't go overboard. A number of years ago, 2 doctors from Long Beach, California called me up. And one of the asset protection attorneys, gurus in the United States, Ron actually knows who he is, got a hold of these 2 doctors. They had 53 properties down in Long Beach, California. And this attorney, he got a hold of him and he said, look, you need a separate LLC for each one of these 53 properties. And he only charged him $5,000 per 53 LLCs. And then this attorney said, by the way, I know taxes. I can do the taxes for you. And you doctors are really busy. What I'll do is do the taxes, issue a K-1, you put it on your 1040. You guys don't have to worry about a thing. And he only charged them $1,500 per year per 53 LLCs.
Unbelievable.
And these two doctors, they get me on the phone and they say, Lee, we're not worried about asset protection anymore. Our lawyers got all of our money. How do we get out of this? So these guys will they'll do as many LLCs or corporations or trusts or whatever you want. They'll do as many of them as you'll pay them for, and they'll push you as far as they can. Do it logically, guys. I'm a tiny little bitty investor compared to Ron. I have 12 doors. I'll tell you that. And I have 3 LLCs. I can't keep track of more than 3 LLCs, and I kind of know what I'm doing. Look, think it logically. You've got a couple of Section 8s. Let's put the Section 8 in one LLC. Let's put the 2 high-end rentals in another. Let's put the strip mall in a third. So make logical decisions, but you can't have 40 LLCs. It doesn't work. So I'm going to say be conservative. Don't go overboard with it, okay? So how are you going to set it up? Well, I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. In fact, in the LLC Wizard, I've got all of the state websites for you. We had Florida back here on there, but I've got there's Massachusetts. I've got each state. You're going to go to the state's website. I've got the website for you, and I have to update this all the time. You'd be amazed at how often the states change their websites. You go to the website, they have a questionnaire on it. It's basically name, rank, and serial number. That's it. You fill that out. You give them the credit card. And on the audios, I go through how to fill it out and answer the questions for you. But you fill that out, give them the credit card. You now have a 100% legal LLC. The problem is the lawyer charges you $2,000-$3,000 for your LLC. He can't give you 2 paragraphs as articles of organization. And that's all it is 2 paragraphs. I filled out 2 paragraphs at the state. So the lawyer fluffs it up for you. He has 4 pages. But wait a minute. That's a public document. I don't file anything with the state that I absolutely don't have to. I will tell you that you can set up your LLC any state you want. I've got every state here for you, okay? You can do it in any state, and a third of the time, it'll take you to call your lawyer up and have him do it. And it's 100% legal, and I got it right. So you're going to set it up, and we're going to do it in the right state. We're going to do the right numbers. Now I have to consider taxes. I've got my LLC set up. Piece of cake. How do I do the taxes? Well, 1977 in Wyoming creates the LLC. The first question they asked was, okay, Mr. IRS, how are you going to tax it? Frankly, we figured that, well, we had the subchapter S for the corporation. We thought they'd create a subchapter T for the LLC. They didn't do that. It took them 20 years. It always takes the IRS 20 years. I've been doing this for 50 years. It's always 20 years. 1997, 20 years later, the IRS said, we don't care how you tax it. You choose how you want your LLC taxed. Do you want it taxed as a sole proprietorship? We call that a disregarded entity. Do you want it taxed as a partnership? Got to have a partner. Do you want it taxed as a subchapter S entity, like a subchapter S corporation? Do you want it taxed under chapter C, like a C corporation? Not a corporation. It's an LLC taxed using the rules of chapter C of the IRS code. How do you want it taxed? You get to choose. That makes your LLC the most flexible tax tool that you have. Now, you're going to start out with one taxation, maybe, if you're not making any money. Then when you're making money, let's change the tax structure. We can do that easy. You can do it. Piece of cake. So we're going to start out. The question is, how much money are you making and how are you making your money? If you're doing rents, that's different than selling goods and services. They're different tax theories, different tax planning that I can do for the rent guy versus the little business guy, the guy selling goods and services. And by the way, this is an off-the-cuff statement, okay? Your real estate is a business. Trump did 199A. 199A says a trade or business, you add up, get your net profit, okay? After expenses, everything, your net profit. Then you write yourself a check for 20% of that net profit, and that comes to you tax-free. No tax. Your accountant has said, oh, by the way, you don't qualify. You have passive income. You're a landlord. It's passive income. Yeah, it is passive income, but that has nothing to do with it. The question is, do you have a trade or a business? And if you are active in your real estate at all, do you get the tenant? Do you call a plumber? Are you acting? Do you do anything in this real estate investing? That means you have a trade or business. You get 20% of your rents tax-free. And I want you to go see if your accountant did that for you. I mean, that's one of the things that we're going to talk about in the advanced tax tactics. And a lot of real estate guys, Ron, a lot of them are missing that one. I've seen that many times. So the taxes. The LLC is the most flexible tool that we have. And I discuss how you're making your money, how much money and stuff. And then we're going to pick your tax structure. We're going to figure it out. And I'm dead serious about taxes in my office, guys. About 15 years ago, a young man named Ben Rucker came to me. And Ben is a former special auditor, special agent of the IRS, has a master's in taxation. He's an enrolled agent. You do not have an accountant do your taxes. You have an enrolled agent do your taxes. An accountant takes a 3-day test. Out of the 3-day test, 2 hours is on taxes. An enrolled agent takes a 3-day test, same place the CPA takes his test, except all 3 days are on taxes. Does that give you a difference, guys? So you use the enrolled agent. Ben and I we're both real estate. He actually has a lot of real estate. So we understand the taxation of the real estate, the small business. I've got to show you what above the line and below the line accounting is. It's an accounting terminology. The line is the AGI line on your 1040 form. It's the last line on page 1 of your 1040. Anything above the line either adds to or subtracts from AGI. Anything below the line has nothing to do with it. But your financial dudes, they all play below the line. They talk about your home mortgage deductions, your medical expenses, your charitable contributions, all of this stuff. That's all below the line. Your real estate and your little business are above the line. That's why they're so important. We do a 2-day boot camp, Ben and I, and Ben talks about taxes from the dark side. It's actually really interesting to see how the IRS looks at you. Now, Ben's done tens of thousands of IRS audits. And the neat thing about it is He can take your tax return and say, there's a problem. You missed that one. You should have gotten money there. There's your audit risk. It's amazing what he can do, and he can do it in a matter of minutes. So it's amazing. In my office, I have Ben. I have the former head of the Western Division of the IRS. I got a bunch of enrolled agents. We're serious about taxes. Remember, I said that was your number one asset protection threat. It's a big deal, guys. So the IRS is your most flexible tax tool. In the boot camp, I go through all of the legal tools for it. We spend 2 days. It's fun. We take no more than 30 people. That way we interact with everybody. So we talk about LLCs and IRAs. We talk about business formalities, taxes. I studied offshore extensively in the early 90s. I mean, I went to the Isle of Man, Barbados. I went to Guernsey and Jersey and the Bahamas. I went everywhere. Would you like me to sum up offshore for you? No, and hell no. Any other questions? So, at any rate, the boot camp's fun, and Ben and I talk about the tax stuff. Okay. Now, what we've done is we've decided we needed an LLC. Then we decided which state to put the LLC in, and I've discussed that with you on the 6 hours of audio. You'll get it right. And then we've decided what tax structure you're going to have. And people come up to me all the time in the live events. I've got my LLC. How's it taxed? Well, I don't know. Well, if they're taking 20, 30, 40% of everything that walks in the front door, maybe you think you might ought to know what it is they're doing. Maybe we could help you. So we're going to do the taxes. Now we're going to write the operating agreement. The operating agreement is your rule book, and it's critical. Now, Legal Doom gives you a 5-page operating agreement. Is that legal? 100%. No problem. The object of the operating agreement is to address the issues that are going to come up in your operation of the LLC. What do we do when somebody wants to buy out? They want to sell or share in the LLC. What do we do when we have to authorize the manager to do stuff? What do we do when we get a loan? What do we do when somebody dies? So I think personally, you need somewhere between 20 and 40 pages of rules. Now, there's a guy guru running around. He's got an LLC kit. It's the only one I think I know of out there other than mine. But he's running around, and his brag is, I got a 150-page operating agreement for you. Really? Do you want a 150-page operating agreement? I don't think so, guys. You're going to understand in a minute why. The poison pills. In my operating agreement, and by the way, I go in, I've got my operating agreement, and you're going to customize it to yourself. For example, there's 4.4. You can use this paragraph or this paragraph. Now, it's in Word. I'm going to tell you on the audios what the difference between the one 4.4 and the other 4.4 is. And you're going to pick one. You're going to delete the other one. It's really easy to set it up, guys. I put poison pills in it. This is something that your average attorney never thinks about. The law says that if I write something down in this operating agreement, as long as it isn't illegal or against public policy, I can write anything I want. So what if I write in the operating agreement that under no circumstance can you ever transfer ownership of your membership interest in the LLC? That means that if somebody sues you and tries to take the LLC away from you, you can't deliver your ownership anyway, and the courts will uphold it. So what we do is we put little pieces in the operating agreement. You've already got your operating agreement, fine. You can amend it. There should be a section in your operating agreement that says this is how we're going to amend it. The members all have to approve it. The manager has to approve it, and blah, blah, blah. but you can amend it and take these little poison pills out and put them in your operating agreement if you want. Or you can amend your operating agreement and state it the way I do. I tell you how to do it. There's no magic language to an operating agreement. You have to address the taxes in the operating agreement. And I'm going to teach you about Pick 2. No lawyer knows about Pick 2. I'll pretty much guarantee it. Now, they won't know what you're saying if you say Pick 2. That's not legal language. That's Lee language, okay? Let me explain. 1977, Wyoming marries a corporation and a partnership. They got the DNA from the daddy corporation. They got the exact same corporate shield, exact same everything. The first question I told you they asked was, okay, Mr. IRS, how are you going to tax this new LLC animal? Well, the IRS immediately came back and said, hey, wait, whoa. This looks just like a corporation. How do we know this isn't a corporation? So the deal was, the law is, a corporation has 4 elements. It has the limited liability shield. Can't sue me, you got to sue the company, the limited liability shield. It has centralized management. That means that the management is centralized in the management team, not in the stockholders. I can have a director on the team that doesn't own any stock. It has continuity of life. That's not the term of the company, 20 years, perpetual, whatever it is. No. Continuity of life says that if one of the stockholders dies, the company just continues on. IBM could care less if one of its stockholders dies. It has continuity of life. The company continues. It has transferability. I can transfer my stock in the corporation. By law, a corporation has those 4 elements. The deal was, okay, by law, an LLC only gets 2 of those 4 elements. Which 2 are you going to pick? Well, duh, you're going to pick the corporate shield, the limited liability, right? Protection. Which one of the other 3 are you going to pick? I don't care. You can go out in front of my office and approach any adult walking up and down the street. Give them this name. They'll know exactly who the guy is. A number of years ago, well, not that many number, but the patriarch of the family is dying. And actually the daughter comes to me and says, Lee, Dad's dying. We have the best attorneys in the state. We have the best CPAs in the state. Would you just look at everything and make sure it's okay? And I said, yeah, I can do that. So they have a big LLC. Dad owns most of it, and each one of the kids own pieces of it. I said, I've got to read the operating agreement. I've got to see if it has continuity of life. They can't find the operating agreement. Dad's dying. He does die within a couple of days. It takes them 2 days to find the operating agreement. They finally found it at the big accounting firm in Salt Lake City. The accountant has to read the operating agreement. The lawyer will never read the operating agreement. So I get the operating agreement and I read. It does not have continuity of life. That means, wham, instantly when Dad dies, this company's gone. That's okay. We can reconstitute it. We won't miss a heartbeat, okay? It's good. But I start asking questions. Where's that son? What does he do? He owns a piece. Where's that daughter? What does she do? She owns a piece. Where's that daughter? What does she do? She died 3 years ago? I'm suing you. First thing I do is I get your operating agreement. You got to give it to me. I'm going to read your operating agreement. I'm going to put you on the stand, and I'm going to ask you the questions. Where's that kid? What does he do? Where's that kid? What does he do? Where's that kid? He died 3 years ago? At that point, I turn to the judge and I say, Your Honor, by law and by definition of their own documents, this company failed to exist 3 years ago. It is now a partnership. I sue everybody personally. The judge has no choice but to say, yeah, you're right. What you write down in this piece of paper makes a difference, guys. Makes a difference. LLC gets 2 of the 4. That's it. Pick 2. So which one of the other 3 are you going to pick? You went in to the lawyer or legal doom and you said, should it be member managed or manager managed? And they said, doesn't matter, pick one. Well, it does matter, because if you pick manager managed, you just pick centralized management. Now, if you come along and you say, oh, well, I want it to survive. I want my company to survive if one of the owners, the members die. So you pick that one too. Now I have 3 elements. I read your operating agreement when I sue you. I get you into court and I say, okay, Your Honor, these guys have 3 of these things. By definition of law, an LLC has 2. By definition, a corporation has 4. They got 3. It ain't an LLC and it ain't a corporation. The only thing it can be, Your Honor, is a partnership. I get to sue them all. And the judge says, yeah, you're right. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you how to set up your operating agreement. And I've got member managed and manager managed. Pick one of those 2 paragraphs, delete the other one. But I'm going to talk to you on the audios and explain what we're doing and why we're doing it, so you understand exactly what goes into this piece of paper. I've now set it up. I've now decided the tax. I've now written the rule book. Oh, and by the way, your rule book, I'm going to read it. I'm going to put you on the stand and I'm going to say, did you do this? Did you do that? And as soon as you say, no, I didn't do that 3 or 4 times, I turn to the judge and I say, Your Honor, these guys didn't follow their own rule books. They didn't treat this like a real company. I don't need to treat it like a real company. I can sue them personally. That's why 85% of these fail when you get sued. I mean, you got a 150-page rule book, operating agreement. There's no way you're getting all of those rules down. You didn't do what you needed to do. I'll guarantee that one. Do you see why you don't have 150 pages? So we're going to address the issues that need to be addressed. And you get to decide which issues you want to address. We'll customize it for you. You can do it, no problem. We've set up the operating agreement. All right. Now we have to worry about the care and feeding of this animal. What we're going to do is we're going to make it so that when you do get into court, the sharks don't eat you alive. The sharks are the lawyers, right? I mean, they're not only sharks, they're thieves. You did hear about the client who's dying, and he has these 2 lawyers come stand on either side of the bed. After a minute, these 2 lawyers, they're standing on either side of the bed. They look down at the client who's dying and they say, hey, man, how come we're here? And the client looks back up at them and he says, well, you know, I didn't live a very good life. I couldn't live like Christ. So I figured the least I could do is die like Christ in between 2 thieves. You get it, guys?
I'm going to steal that one, Lee.
You're going to steal that one? Oh, you like lawyer jokes? Hey, this isn't a joke.
I love them.
This, you're old like I am, Ron. Yeah. About 2 years ago, I had a colonoscopy. The clean out's bad news. Everybody's had one, right?
Yeah.
So they put you down. I mean, they put you under. I don't want them putting me down, okay? They put you under, and then they do the colonoscopy. So I'm in the recovery room, and I'm waking up. I'm groggy. I don't know what's going on. And there are all these people standing around staring at me. I mean, it's a big crowd of people. Kind of freaked me out, actually. Why are all these people staring at me? Finally, it dawned on me. Do you know how rare it is to see a lawyer that's not full of shit? You get it.
I don't know. I don't know if I can use that one or not. I have to think about that.
It's a true story. I can use it. I did add the punchline. I'll give you that. Anyway, we're going to teach you to do the formalities. What do we mean by formalities? Over the decades, the courts, the argument when you get into court, is this a real company? That's always the argument. If you treated it like a real company, I have to treat it like a real company. Is this a real company? And the courts have said, well, if you do this and you do this and you do this and you do this, these are indicia, these are indications that you think it's a real company, that you treated it like a real company. And the courts call them the formalities. So we're going to teach you about the formalities on the audios. I go through and teach you how to do it. The whole issue is it a real company? Prove it. Okay, we're going to prove it. Now, it's not overwhelming. I've developed a system for you. Should take no more than 2 hours a year, okay? Would you spend 2 hours a year for me? If I can pretty much guarantee you get the asset protection you want out of your company, out of your LLC? I mean, when you got a system, it's really easy, guys. It's not overwhelming at all. You can do it. But you've got to do it. And that's one of the reasons I can't have 12 LLCs. That'd take me 24 hours worth of work. So keep it down. Let's do reasonable stuff, common sense stuff, and we're going to take care of it. We're going to make it so it actually works. I've got a checklist for you. I go down all the formalities. Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? So you know exactly what's going on. Then I have everything for you in digital Word files, examples of meeting minutes. For first time I ever acted as corporate secretary, man, I'd been to college for 10 years. I knew how to take notes. I had 18 typewritten pages worth of notes. I sent these notes off to an old friend lawyer of mine. And the old guy took me over in the corner and he says, Phillips, I got a tongue lashing. He said, son, your notes, they're no good. So I go in and I teach you how to take minutes in a meeting. Personnel area, finance area, planning area. Look, the art of a lawyer is to be able to write something so that it doesn't say anything. It's true. It's absolutely true. It's what you got to do. So we're going to take care of the formalities. We're going to make sure that you work. And it's not overwhelming. With my system, it's easy. You can do it. The next thing we're going to do is double your asset protection. And I'm going to prevent the domino effect. What do I mean by the domino effect? In 2008, 9, 10, I saw real estate investors lose 30 pieces of property. This one went bad. They gave it back to the bank. The bank sold it at a deficiency. Do you remember this, guys? Then they came back to the owner and said, okay, pay up. Now, wait a minute. If this is in an LLC, they can't come back to the owner to get that, right? Yeah, they can, guys. You guaranteed that mortgage personally. I'll guarantee personally you guaranteed that mortgage personally. So they come back, they ask for the deficiency. You say, I don't got it. They go to the next piece of property. They take that one. Deficiency. Just, I mean, it dominoed on down. I literally saw people lose 30 pieces of property. Now, the LLC wasn't very popular then, and they weren't using LLCs. I can stop the domino effect today with LLCs. If they come to you to get the deficiency, okay, but they can't go get the next piece of property if it's in the LLC. Why? Well, there are two types of asset protection. There's the corporation, and it has the limited liability shield. The LLC has another piece. Remember I said we married a corporation and a partnership? We got the DNA for the corporate shield, the limited liability, from the daddy corporation. What did we get from mommy partnership? Well, wait a minute. Partnerships don't have any asset protection. You go ask any lawyer and they will say a partnership has no asset protection. That's not right, guys. That's not true. I've got to give you a history lesson, okay? 400 years ago in England, the only type of business structure there was a partnership. So me and you and Ron, we go into business together. I don't know what we did 400 years ago in England. We were blacksmiths, wheelwrights, wainwrights, I don't know what we did, but we had a great business. In fact, we worked 30 years to set this business up and make it work. Now, me and you and Ron, one of us screws up. Which one's it going to be? It's going to be Ron, right?
Yeah, right.
So Ron screws up and he gets sued. I don't know how you got sued 400 years ago in England. You hit somebody with your horse. You didn't pay the king. You got divorced. That's always a good one. Anyway, one of the partners screws up. They get sued. The guy suing them is called their creditor. So the creditor gets a judgment against one of our partners, and they take the partnership interest that they own. That's one of their assets. Now, wait a minute. Me and you and Ron, he didn't screw up. One of the other guys screwed up, okay?
Thank you.
We've worked 30 years in this business, and our other partner got sued. They, by definition, when they take the partnership, the new partner, they can sell the partnership. They can do whatever they want with it. They don't need me and you and Ron to approve that. We just lost everything we owned. Everything would work 30 years for. And the Brits said, that's not fair. So in 1890, they passed a law which said, when our partner gets in trouble, they can't take his partnership interest. They have to go back to court and ask for an order which charges the debt that this partner owes, the creditor, charges the debt against our partnership. We say they have an economic lien against our partnership. But this creditor, he doesn't own the partnership interest. He can't come in and sell our partnership. He can't tell me and you and Ron what to do with it. He can't do anything. If we ever declare a profit, this other partner doesn't get that profit. His creditor gets the profit. So what did that just do? That just protected our company from the acts of one of the partners, one of the owners. Well, when we married the corporation and the partnership, the mommy partner contributed the DNA for the charging order protection. Lawyers don't think it's a big deal, but it's a huge deal because look, when this piece of property goes bad, the bank sells it, they come to you for the deficiency. If this is in an LLC, they can't get ownership of that LLC. All they can do is get an order, a charging order, and put an economic lien against the partnership. Now, we never have to declare a profit. Ron knows this. I'm really good at running nonprofits. That's what all my business, no. But we're never going to declare a profit. That means that this guy has no leverage against our partnership. It's huge, guys. If you hit a kid in the crosswalk on the way to church, is that a business problem? No, but they sue you. They can take away your ownership in the company. No questions asked. So not in an LLC, though. Not in an LLC. We protected it. The LLC wizard has everything you need. There are the 6 steps. There's the right legal structure. We're going to make sure it's right. You own ownership of the LLC, which state's it going to be in, how you going to set it up. We talk about all this in the 6 hours of audio discussion. We're going to make it so that we get the right tax structure. We're going to save you a ton of money. I can guarantee your accountant's not doing everything for you. Even the good ones, they miss the little pieces that we go through. And you're going to pick them up. You're going to ask the accountant. The accountant's going to say, yeah, great idea. Sorry, we'll do that. We're going to design the operating agreement. You're going to pick 2. We're going to customize it for you. It's easy. You can do it in less time than the attorney can do it for you and have you go down to the office twice. We're going to convince the judge that this is a real company. I wanted to treat it like a real company. If I treated it like a real company, you have to treat it like a real company. That's the argument when you get into court. We're going to protect the assets with the double asset protection. And that's a big deal. Everything is on digital format for you. All the documents are in Word. You guys can operate the Word program and do the word processing. It's easy. On the internet, this set, and I'm going to come back now, and I'm going to go through a bunch of other things for you, but I want to talk about the LLC wizard on the internet, $24.99. But if you can avoid just one lawsuit in your lifetime, that's at least $50,000 for you. I actually have a good friend. He was my high school class president. And he's like a lot of you. He's like me. Got comfortable in my job, my little business, whatever it was. Got a little extra money, started to invest in real estate. He bought the drive-in theater at the south end of town. Nice piece of property. Has a guard shack on it, a little better than that guard shack. And this basically homeless couple come to him and say, hey, let us live in the guard shack cheap. So the guy's going to do it. My friend's going to do him a favor. I mean, he wants to contribute. He wants to help. You want to contribute. You want to help. Understand that. But have you ever been bit while you've been trying to help somebody? Well, okay, couple moves in. Now, the third-party management company has them sign the lease. Everything's great. My friend also has a company. He spent his whole life building this company. It's about 50 employees. His sons are working the company now, and they're buying his interest out a little bit at a time. That's his retirement. He married one of the best business structure lawyers in our state. Years ago, she set up his business. And when he bought the real estate, she said, don't worry about the real estate, buy a big insurance policy. Now, I'll tell you that this would have come down the same had this piece of real estate been in an LLC or a corporation or a land trust. Didn't matter how he owned it in this case. Buy a big insurance policy. Well, wait a minute. The business lawyers and the real estate people, the real estate lawyers, they never get together. They don't think, how do I protect the business from the real estate? How do I protect the real estate from the business? They never do that. So this homeless couple basically move into the guard shack. In the meantime, the state comes along. No. Time out. Guard shack doesn't meet code. Get them out. The third-party management company sends them an eviction notice. They don't get out. They stay there. In fact, they keep paying rent. One night, they're literally smoking meth in bed, and they burn the place down. She dies. They sued my friend. This is during COVID, actually. As soon as the lawsuit came down, my friend and his wife, the big business structure lawyer, came to me and they said, okay, what can we do? And the answer is you can't do much, because as soon as you see the problem coming at you, wham, everything locks down. We have fraudulent conveyance statutes, fraudulent transfer statute. No, you can't do anything. There was hardly anything I could do for him. We made a little couple of tweaks, but it didn't really help, guys. I'll just cut the story short. My friend lost his business. He lost everything. Why? Because the big business structure lawyer didn't think, how do I protect business from real estate? How do I protect real estate from business? They didn't do that. And she missed a little element in the structure of his company. You ain't going to miss that, boys. I'm going to go through it step by step for you. You're not going to miss that one. We're going to be okay. I want to spend 30 minutes. I'll spend 30 minutes with each one of you. When you use the LLC wizard, you call me up, get me, the secretary will make an appointment, and I want to discuss the structure of your next LLC. I'm going to ask you all these questions, and we're going to get it down so you know what you're doing. Is that okay? Would you like that one? I mean, that's at least $350 worth of my time. Yeah, lawyers are getting expensive these days. I actually have a nephew, and the guy's a lawyer. He's a big business lawyer, New York City. $2,000 an hour is his billing rate. Okay, I'm not that one, but they're getting expensive. I understand that. The LLC package that we have here today, we've got the full 6 hours worth of audio, 6 steps, everything on computer disk, $24.99. Everything's digital. You can do it. It's easy. The 30-minute consultation, this is your package today. Total value, $28.49. Now, I understand you haven't had the up close and looky-feely piece to it. These are the laws rich people use. You need to use them. But I'm going to take the risk off of you, okay? 30-day money-back guarantee, you have a problem. Everything's digital delivery for you, okay? It's easy to get it and to work with it. You can get it absolutely immediately. 1985, a man comes to me. Ron knows who this man is too. I don't know if Ron's going to recognize the story or not. The guy comes to me and he's going to do a mail order business. He sends out pieces of mail and then people buy stuff, okay? 1985, he says, Lee, I want to protect my wife and my kids. He wanted to protect his family so that if something happens to me and the business, my wife and kids are okay. I said, okay, we can do this. So between 1985 and August 2nd, 1990, this guy got this business up to 180 million miles an hour. I mean, he was literally doing over $100 million a year. Not a bad business. August 2nd, 1990, everything stopped. What happened? You'll know where you were when I tell you. The United States declared war. We declared the Gulf War. I'd never seen a war before. I remember I was actually driving from Boston to Martha's Vineyard doing business for this guy. I listened to the war on the radio in the car. When I got to the hotel, I watched the war. We'd never seen a war before. Everybody in the United States became very afraid. We all came, I mean, we didn't buy anything. We were scared. This man's business went from 100 million miles an hour to dead stop in 24 hours. He owed everybody money. I mean, he was into the post office, $2 million. You guys try getting into the post office for $2 million. There were so many lawsuits that the attorney general in the state actually consolidated all of the lawsuits. I'll give it to you. That's a little weird. The attorney general sued the guy. He sued his wife. He sued his kids. He sued the next door neighbor. He sued the dog. He sued everything he could find. First thing that happens in court is the wife's attorney stands up and says, Your Honor, there's no allegation that wife did anything wrong. We move case be dismissed with prejudice. You can't bring it again against wife. And the judge looked at the AG's team and said, well, boys, they held a caucus for 2 seconds and they came back and said, well, no, Your Honor, we don't have anything on the wife. Judge said, fine, case dismissed with prejudice. The wife and her attorney stood up in court and walked out. There was an audible, there goes the money. What I had done is I had made a company for her. I'd made a company for him. She had nothing to do with his company. He had nothing to do with her company. But every year I would take the profit out of his company and move it to her company. We'd move tens of millions of dollars. The last place I saw, this couple were in their mid-50s, never worked again. The last place I saw them was literally in their penthouse on Kaanapali Beach. This guy had taken the time to protect his wife and his kids, his family. He didn't do anything wrong. There was no way he could have prevented what happened. And yet it all went down. You never know when it's going to go down. We've got to protect your family, yourself, your assets now. That's all there is to it. The LLC Wizard, $24.99. For the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you some bonuses, though. I'm going to make it really good. Telephone support. You're welcome to call me. We don't have a voicemail system in our office. We have real live people. They answer the phone every time somebody calls during business hours. And if it's a short question, tell them it's short. And if I'm not doing anything, I'll take it. If it's a longer question, the 30-minute consultation, next time you set up your LLC, they will make an appointment. Okay? That's at least, I figure the average guy takes about $500 worth of my time. Boot camp. I'm going to give you a $500 certificate towards the tuition in the boot camp. I want you to come to boot camp. It's fun. We spend 2 days and go through stuff. I'm not exactly a boring speaker. You'll be okay, okay? Tax review. Ben has said that for anybody that uses the LLC Wizard, like I say, this is electronic delivery now. Anybody who uses the LLC Wizard, he'll do a tax review for you. And I'm amazed at the number of people who don't take advantage of this. What you're going to do is you're going to upload your last year's taxes. Take your name off. Take your social security number off. We don't care. We'll make an appointment with Ben, and he'll spend 15 to 30 minutes with you. But he can audit your tax return in 2 minutes. And he'll give you advice on what you could do to make more money, to cut your audit risks, all of that stuff. You walk in off the street and say, hi, would Ben do this? That's $500. No questions asked. So he'll do a tax review for you. I will do the 30-minute consultation for you when you do your next LLC. I'll talk to you. I want to talk to you. The advanced tax tactics. This is electronic delivery 2. This is version 3. I have to update it all the time. But that's $7.99 on the internet. That's 12 ways that you cut your AGI. You're going to save. There are techniques in there. Every one of you can use. I know it. And I can give you an extra $3,000, $4,000 this year. I'll guarantee that. So the advanced tax tactics. If you're doing real estate, we can do that. No problem. 2, 3, 4, 5,000 minimum. Bottom line is you've got what, $2,600 worth of bonuses, $2,499, $2,500 on the full package. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to get the full $5,000. You're going to go to ronlegrand.com/Lee. That's me, okay? ronlegrand.com/Lee, or you can call the office 800-567-6128. And we're going to make the entire package available to each one of you. Total package price. Ron says it's got to be $999. I'm going to show you how to make the $999 tax deductible too. So if you're in a 30% tax bracket, you just got what, $350 or whatever it is off your taxes. So your effective cost is $600-700, something like that. So go to ronlegrand.com/Lee. or call. And for the next 15 minutes, it's $9.99. We're not going to run this one forever. I'll guarantee that one. So
That's cheap. That's
we
really
can take
cheap.
questions now. Ron, you have questions?
You know what I just said, and you're thinking, I know 3 lawyers that charge over well, I said I know them that charge over $1,000 for one LLC.
Oh yeah, easy.
Set it up. I mean, this is a real deal.
The average cost is a couple of grand for each LLC.
In fact, I remember when you were selling this package for $2,000.
Yeah,
but times changed.
Oh, it's on the internet, and we sell them on the internet pretty regularly for $2,500.
All right. Well, guys, you can make the decision. We certainly didn't have enough time to go through everything that we could have went through today, but that's why you're going to decide whether you want continuing education on that. And as I always tell everybody, when you go to a lawyer, you should know as much as you can about the questions that you want to ask so that you can actually get answers to the real questions and not the questions that the lawyer heard. Sometimes the lawyer don't hear what you say and vice versa. And even then, you don't know why the lawyer is asking you to do whatever they want you to do. And Lee, I teach people to, if they ask you something that you don't understand, or if they tell you something that it's, if anybody tells you it's illegal, I always say, ask them to guide me to the statute where I can verify that. And most of the time there is no statute because it's just word of mouth passed on down the line. But now on the other side of that, if you're going to use a lawyer, you got to listen to the lawyer, but that don't mean you do it, he says, blindly. You need to know why you're doing what, make sure it applies to you. That's all. I got a lot of experience with lawyers, trust me. And I'll tell you what I know, and Lee's know this as well. Most lawyers aren't near as smart as you think they are. Okay. And none of them know everything about everything. So anyway, this is a great deal. It's a great deal. Actually, I bought your package quite a few years ago, Lee, whether you know it or not.
Well, you've used it for a long time. I know that. You even called me up a couple of times.
Yeah, I have. All right, Rich, we got questions?
Questions? Yeah, we can do questions. That's pretty easy.
We do indeed.
See 'em, Ron.
Okay.
I don't. Question: do you have an affiliate marketing program? Talk to Ron on that.
Okay. Next.
My mother owns $1 million home. How do I protect it from probate? You're not going to put a home, a personal residence, in an LLC. Each state has homestead privileges. For example, Florida's 100% homestead. As soon as you put the personal residence in an LLC, you destroy that homestead law. And it's no longer a personal residence. It's now a business property, personal residence. Husband, wife dies, they get $500,000 tax-free, blah, blah, blah. All that's gone. You're going to protect the personal residence with a large insurance policy, and you're going to put it into a living revocable trust to avoid probate. Now, all states, I think, have now passed laws which say I can actually make out a deed that has what's called a POD, a pay on death, or a transfer on death, TOD. So you could make out a new deed, depending on which state you're in, but I think they all have it, and move it down. That has some disadvantages that the living revocable trust overcomes, but it's really easy. You don't have to go to the lawyer or nothing to get this new type of deed.
All right, and I teach put it in land trust, which is a grantor revocable trust.
It's a revocable grantor trust, similar to a living trust. Do your land trusts have provisions that say what happens when the guy dies?
Yes.
Okay.
They do. So really, I'm not. I don't want anybody to think land trust. Okay, but the key is how you own the land trust, and the key is how you own all your assets, is what really keeps the predators off of your back. But in simply, I just treat land trust and your home, you just be the beneficial interest of your land trust. So he just said it. Don't put your house in an LLC. Might cause problems you don't even realize. So put her house in an LLC. Put her house in a land trust. Then you got to decide who's going to be the beneficiaries. And this is all assuming that your mother's going to let you do that, or your grandmother is going to let you do that, because they are absolutely not going to understand it, and you're probably not capable to explain it to them. But if you do, and another thing, if she's willing, you can always go ahead and put it in a land trust, and you be the beneficial interest of it right now. But even if that's not the case, I can tell you from experience, at least here in Florida, if you have two people in that land trust and one of them dies, we don't do anything. We just keep going, move on. There's nothing to file. There's no problem with estate taxes or any of that. What most people do, they'll verify this as nothing, and then they die intestate, and then you can't get title till you go through probate, and that's assuming the government don't step in and make a mess of it. So
yeah, it's a mess. Take care of your estate planning.
Yep. All right. Next.
If I have a Wyoming LLC but haven't had any property in it yet or income passed through it, that's 90% of the Wyoming LLCs. Do I still need to do a Wyoming tax return? Technically, yes. Yeah,
but if there's no money going in, it's a short one.
It's a really short return, but there's, most people don't file the tax return in Wyoming. They've just paid their money for nothing.
Yes. And don't forget, for every LLC you form, you got an annual fee.
To keep
that thing
fee
alive.
And the registered agent fee.
Yeah.
Tennessee has series LLCs for real estate. Thoughts? There are we didn't talk about it. I probably should have. I skipped it. Sorry. There are 10 or 15 states now that have what are called series LLC laws. You set up a mommy LLC at the state. Often you pay a higher fee at the state for the mommy LLC than you do a regular LLC. But this mommy LLC, you can make baby LLCs underneath it. And there's no charge at the state when you make this series of LLCs. The mommy LLC is called the principal LLC, and the baby LLCs are called cell LLCs, CELL. So I can make as many cells as I want. The problem is we don't have a uniform series LLC act, and there are only a dozen states that'll let you do it to begin with. But if I set it up in Illinois has one, Utah has one. I'm in Utah. I don't use the series LLCs. I use the regular LLCs. One, it's cheap in Utah, and two, I know what I'm doing. So the series LLC, if you set it up in Illinois and you own a piece of property in Indiana, I think you're going to get screwed. So we're not big on them yet. The reason isn't because they don't work. The reason is we don't know what the parameters of them are. Someday we'll probably get a uniform series LLC act. If you're in Tennessee, go ahead and use them. You're just fine.
Well, I would disagree with that, because every time who wants to go form an LLC every time you buy a house? That's ridiculous to me. Land trust, you fill out yourself and record it, and there ain't no annual fee, and there ain't no income tax issues, and there ain't no corporate filing or any of that junk.
I'm going to tell you, if you're in California where the LLC's $800 a year.
Yeah, that's right. Here,
going to go to land trusts and stuff.
Yeah. Use the land trust instead of the LLCs and accomplish the exact same thing. And I've never had a lawyer convince me that any differently. To put one house in one LLC, to me, is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, especially if you buy a lot of houses. All right. What's the next one?
Are you saying that if it is not advisable to have a property inside an LLC, knowing that you will be selling the property? i.e. the LLC that owns the property. Well,
Let
you
me-
can put
let me-
the property in the LLC, and you can either sell the property from the LLC, or you can actually sell the LLC. In fact, if it's a single member LLC, I can 1031 the LLC. If it's got an investment property in it, I can actually 1031 the LLCs. So, yeah, you're okay doing that. It's okay to put it and then sell it out of the LLC or sell the whole LLC. You can do either one. If I were doing it, if I were buying, I would not buy your LLC, because your LLC may have debts and stuff against it that I don't know about, and I can't find. I can find the property problems, the liens against the property, by doing the title search, but I can't do a title search on your LLC. So I'm never going to buy your LLC.
Okay. And I'm going to interject here right now. I have always teached only one egg in one basket, not an LLC that owns 10 properties on title, one LLC. Whatever happens to one is going to wipe out the rest. One egg, one basket, one land trust, one house. Let the LLC own the land trust. And then you don't have one liability affecting everything else that you got. So I'm telling you, lawyers will tell you to put several properties in your LLC. Not me. Not me.
Well,
One egg, one
I
basket.
told you, you can't have 12 LLCs. It's too complicated. You can have 12 land trusts because there's no fee, there's no ongoing maintenance, all of that sort of stuff. Now, Ron is combining the LLC and the land trust. That's okay.
All right, Lee, if I have an LLC and it's really not doing anything, does it need a bank account?
Well, if it's not doing anything, no, it doesn't need a bank account. And I'll tell you, the guy that has it in Wyoming that's not doing anything with it, he needs to get rid of it, because if he's got an EIN number for it, and a lot of these guys in Wyoming get an EIN number for you. All that is an audit magnet for the IRS.
You have to in Florida. Yeah, you can't form one here without an EIN number, but that's not really the point. I think that's probably not true in every state. From what I'm told that it has to have a bank account, but I haven't verified that, and I probably shouldn't even.
These guys that are setting them up in Wyoming, they don't got bank account.
Right. Okay.
They didn't open a bank account. They didn't do anything. And if you have an LLC that you're not doing anything with, get rid of it.
Okay. You missed a couple of things too that I want to point out. The last thing, you do not want to pay your personal bills out of a corporate account. You can't do that. You got to pay your personal bills out of your own personal account, even if you take distributions from your LLC, but don't pay the bills out of it. That's one of the first things that a lawyer is going to look for when they're coming after you.
Well,
you got to treat it like it's a business.
Ron, that's one of the formalities. And if you commingle money, that's what you're talking about. If you commingle your personal and your business, I got you.
Yeah, I know.
That's a death net.
And a ton of people are making that mistake and don't even realize it. All right, what have we got next?
How much will the boot camp cost me? I'm going to give you a $500 certificate. The boot camp is $14.99. However, if you sign up early, I give you a $500 discount. So total cost with the $500 certificate and the $500 early bird discount is what we call it, would be $499.
Right. And you're going to give them that information when they order your.
Yeah, we'll email you when the boot camp comes and tell you when the early bird discount is and blah, blah, blah. I do about 3 to 5 of these a year.
It's a virtual, isn't it?
It is. I always did it live until COVID, and I don't know. I love the live. I love to be with people. But
Me too.
It's going to cost you $3,000-$4,000 to buy the airline ticket and the hotel and all that crap. And if you'll keep your video on, we do it in Zoom meeting. So you keep your video on. I want you to be unmuted. I want you to talk to me. So just like Ron and I are talking right now.
So let's don't do that while we're driving down the street.
How do we form LLPs in Vegas? A limited liability partnership is, I'm going to say, an offshoot of the concept of an LLC. It has the charging order protection, but it doesn't really have the corporate shield. So I like the LLC better. In Vegas, Nevada, you're using your LLC wizard system, of course. You're going to have a form on the state website that'll be an LLP, a limited liability partnership, instead of an LLC. But I'd still lean towards the LLC. I live in California. I'm sorry. But going to create an LLC holding company in Nevada. Do you recommend a trust to be set up before the LLC specifically for real estate? I'm not exactly sure what you're doing. If you're going to set up an LLC in Nevada, it doesn't matter whether you do the land trust in California or whether the LLC has nothing to do with California. The sheer fact that you are a California resident means that you get to pay the $800 a year. Oh yeah, it's in Wyoming or Nevada. You're paying all of the costs in Nevada, but you still have to register that in California. The sheer fact that you're a California citizen and you own 25% of a company outside of the state, that company has to be registered in the state, and you pay your $800 a year, or it's a $3,000 per year fine.
Wow.
So you'd better think
God bless
twice about
California.
what you're doing.
Well, you better get help.
My gosh, this is a whole paragraph.
The whole
I have
book.
a Wyoming LLC that owns my pilot escort business. Okay. And I'm a manager of the pilot escort business. Okay. You're a manager in the LLC. Wyoming owns Pennsylvania LLC. Wyoming LLC is ideally owned by a trust with me as the beneficiary. Reasonable. Yeah, you're doing okay. I still don't know that you have any advantage of having the Wyoming company own the Pennsylvania LLC. No, you don't have to restructure it. I'm not going to slap you on the wrists. I'm just going to say there's probably no need for the Wyoming LLC. And what will happen is you'll get sick of paying Wyoming in another 10 years and you'll quit. You'll just say, well, let's just have the Pennsylvania LLC.
All right, I'm going to make a statement again right now. First of all, you got to be very careful to whom you listen. Go to seminars and you hear all this stuff. When you try to stack corporations like that, you're not accomplishing anything. You're not accomplishing anything. If they come after you and they depose you, they already know what you got, and they don't know what you got. Especially with the advent of AI, there's really no reason to try to hide stuff. It's not about hiding stuff. It's about making sure they can't get it even when they know you got it, and that's really nothing more than knowing how to own the entities and how to stack them. Which I'm not going to get into a big old seminar here right now, but that's really what it comes down to, is how you own the stuff. And I could tell you, if you live in, just ask Siri, do I live in what states honor tenants by the entirety? Because if you're in one of those states and you're married, you better learn the six things that you have to honor to make that applicable. Because I'll tell you from experience and with state law that with state statutes that I created, tenants by the entirety is a very, very, very good asset protection device if you happen to live in one of those states and if you qualify. So tenants by the entirety would be the way that I own everything, which is exactly the way I own everything. And trust me, they have tried to come after it and nobody's been able to pierce it yet. But that's another story we're not going to get to right now. Lee, if land trust is owned by LLC,
by the entirety is a really good thing. It's not available to a lot of people.
No,
I
that's
want to
right.
make one comment. You said stacking up the entities.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't like pyramids. I don't like to have one company own another company. In
Yeah.
order to be sued, you have to have a causal connection to the problem. If I keep
Mhm.
this company, this land trust, this one separate from this one, then there's no causal connection. I can't sue this one and this one. If
Yeah.
this
One
one
egg, one
owns
basket.
this one, then I can sue them both because there's a causal connection. I think of it like Jenga. You ever played Jenga, Ron? Where you
Yeah.
stack the wood up and you
Yeah.
pull. Well, you
Yeah.
pull a
One
little
very.
piece out and the whole thing falls down. If
Yeah.
it's all stacked up like like Jenga, all I have to do is find the weak point, pull that piece out, and the whole thing collapses.
Yeah. That's exactly right. So it's also true with your entity structuring. Don't make it too complicated. Don't be paying for stuff that you don't need. Just remember, every LLC or C corp you register is going to cost you money every single year, and probably will need a tax return as well, which will cost you more money. Stay simple. Stay simple. All right. What's this one? What about my
He's got an
LLC?
LLC that's it's a series LLC. The parent LLC owns real estate. He must be in a state, or Annette, I'm sorry, it's a she, I assume, must be in a state where there's series LLCs. And you can have your shoe business be one of the baby LLCs, one of the cell LLCs. That's okay. Depending on which state it is and how much it is and stuff. If it's not much more, I'd have the real estate LLC and an independent shoe company LLC just to keep this causal connection. We're not 100% sure what the causal connection between the parent and the child, the cell LLCs. We're not sure what that connection is and how really protected they are from each other. That's why I'm reluctant to use the series LLCs. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with them. Go ahead. If it's expensive in your state, then have the business be one of the cells. I thought we never owned solo LLCs. We have to use LLPs instead of a solo LLC. Solo LLCs are just fine. I assume that means
Not
single.
not in Florida. They're not. They're not in
Well,
Florida.
now wait a minute. You're right, and I forgot to say this in the presentation. You're absolutely right, and I usually say it, and I'm sorry.
Well, I can
Let
I
me.
can tell you. But
Can I
go
explain
ahead.
it for 2 seconds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember that I said that me and you and Ron went into business, and our other partner got in trouble. There have been a number of cases now. The first one was Allred in Denver. And Mr. Allred declares bankruptcy, and there are all these assets over in the LLC. And the bankruptcy judge says, just go get the assets. It's a single member, one member LLC. The second case is Olmsted in Florida. Mr. Olmsted's a dirty dude. He embezzles tens of millions of dollars from Floridians. And I apologize. I should have talked about this in the presentation. And he embezzles tens of millions of dollars from Floridians. They get Mr. Olmsted and they throw him in jail. And they say, okay, Mr. Olmsted, these tens of millions of dollars, they're over here in the LLC. Give them back, and we're going to help your victims. Well, Mr. Olmsted has read the law in Florida. Florida adopted the Uniform LLC Act, which says that the only remedy of somebody suing the member is a charging order, which doesn't allow them to take this $10 million or millions of dollars over here. They have to wait until it declares a profit, then they get it. Well, Mr. Olmsted's sitting in jail. And he says, no, this is in an LLC. You can't get it. Get a charging order. And by the way, how often do you think I'm going to declare a profit? Yeah. Well, Mr. Olmsted told the Supreme Court justices in Florida to go pound sand. There's one problem with that. The Supreme Court justices in Florida ain't interested in pounded sand. There's a lot of sand in Florida. And so they scratched their little noodle and they said, okay, what was the purpose of the charging order? The purpose of the charging order wasn't to protect this partner. It was to protect me and you and Ron. So the Supreme Court justices in Florida said, screw you, Mr. Olmstead. Henceforth and forever in Florida, you've got to have at least a partner, another guy, 2 members in your LLC in order to get the charging order protection. So there are now about 15 states that have said you've got to have 2 members to get this charging order protection. And so, it makes sense because the charging order protection wasn't to protect the one guy, it was to protect the other guys. You don't
which means they can take the money out of your bank, the LLC's bank account. I can attest to that from personal experience. However, let's say you're not married, you're not attended by the entirety state anyway, and you don't know anybody, and you don't like anybody. There's nothing stopping you from forming an LLC of your own or a limited partnership, and then having one of your own LLCs be that partner to you. You'll be the owner of the limited partnership, and your LLC owns part of it as well. The LLC can also serve as your general manager. Now you have 2 in your partnership, LLC and an individual. If you understand what I just said, and I don't even know myself after listening to it. Don't want solo for, I don't care where you live, no solo LLCs.
Yeah, you want 2 members. If you're in a state, the majority of states require 1 member. Go ahead and have 1 member, but I'd pick 2. And it could be, by the way, it could be husband and wife in common law states, not in community property states, okay? So if I have my LLC in my home state and I wholesale a property in another state, do I have to register my LLC in the other state? If the LLC owns the property you're wholesaling, yes, you have to register the LLC in every state where you do business and in every state where you own property. That's pretty much.
What if I don't? What if I don't?
If you don't, chances are things will go okay. But if something screws up, then you have no rights in the state where you're wholesaling the property. And so they can get away with a lot.
Okay, well, so in other words, you either ask permission or ask for forgiveness. It's your choice.
Well, forgiveness is a little harder to ask for in this case.
Yeah, well, I can tell you a lot of folks are not registering in the state where the property is, and it's not in the state they live in.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And like I say, most people get away with it. The tenant doesn't figure it out. Most people get away with it. There's all kinds of crap going on. And until you get in trouble, I mean, you can do it in your own name. And if you never get in trouble, who cares?
So you say, be careful with the skeletons you put in the closet?
Kind of, yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Hey, Rich, we got time for about 2 more questions.
I have an LLC in Delaware and pay taxes every year for it. Well, you're okay. Can I combine my new business under this LLC? Businesses, I guess you can. I mean, the Delaware company can own anything it wants. If you're doing business in Virginia, you need to register the Delaware company in Virginia. And, we were just talking, if you never have a problem, then nobody ever knows that you didn't register your Delaware and Virginia. But if you get sued or have a problem, then you don't got no protection.
Yeah. LLCs actually don't pay taxes. taxes flow through
Yeah,
to the beneficiary.
I choked on that a little. Did you hear that? Did you see that? I think she means she pays all the fees and stuff.
What fees?
Well, Delaware has a fee for your LLC.
Annual renewal. That's right.
And one thing I choked on is if you're in New York, the fee is dependent upon how much tax you pay.
Wow. All right. Now you know why New Yorkers are moving to Florida.
Yep.
All right.
Just leave
One
your
more,
New York
Rich.
values in New York. Can I put
Can
a
I get one?
land trust with a property under an LLC that has nothing to do with it with real estate? Do I need a new LLC? I'm not sure I understand the question. You got it, Ron?
I don't either. If you don't have anything to do with real estate, a land trust is irrelevant because you have to put a property in it or you don't have it. Property funds it. So I'm not.
Well, a land trust has a property. You can have an LLC be the trustee of the land trust. You can have an LLC be the beneficiary of a land trust.
But not the same one. Not the same one.
I
Got to be
think
different.
I think they're saying, can I own property in the LLC? And then can I do business in the same LLC? And yeah, you could. I'm not sure what they're asking.
No, you don't want to do business in one and in real estate in the other. I mean, in the same one. But I'm not. Do I need a new LLC? That's not hard to figure out what she's talking about.
Debbie, you'll
got a
have to
property.
call and ask.
Has making nothing to do with real estate. Okay, I got that much. Oh, do you need another LLC for on the property? Answer is no. On the property and a land trust, and then who the owner of that? I always teach property is title to land trust. LLC owns the land trust, and then you got to decide who owns the LLC, and that, my friend, is the thing that you want to focus on learning, because how you own that LLC is really going to depend on whether you're going to be able to keep it if you get attacked or not. You guys are great together. What is it? Is it our shirts or what
I
is
think it's the age, Ron.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, if you still have questions, Rich, make sure that I get them, will you? Rich?
Will do.
Okay, make sure that I get them. And then there's always ask@ronlegrand.com. Ask@ronlegrand.com. I answer questions every day. I did 3 this morning. And then if you want Lee's stuff, and you do want Lee's stuff, I'll tell you that right now. Remember, if you get this stuff, you got 30 days to look at it, send it back. There's no risk here. Very, very cheap what he asked for it. I was
I'm
kind
going
of
to tell you,
surprised.
if you don't think you can pay for it or you don't want it, don't get it.
Yeah. But this will serve you for years. And see, you always got the problem, what documents do I use? I can tell you that the operating agreement of your LLC is the absolute key on whether you get to keep what you got or whether you get to lose what you got. So why not get one that's already been through the test? Look, I don't want no young lawyer. All the lawyers I want are going to be old geezers like Lee here. I don't want some kid out of college because they don't know anything. They haven't been around long enough to learn the real ropes. So make sure you be careful to whom you listen. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking it. I learned a lot today. I did from you. I learned a lot from just watching you today. I really did. I learn a lot every time I talk to you.
Well,
all right.
Good.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you all for watching. Hope to see you soon.
If you've already got an LLC, the material is worth every dime just to make sure you got what you get.
And you probably do not have one that makes sense. If you went online and formed it, I'll tell you, the ones online are not going to protect you. That's long and the short of it. So anyway, we brought you to bear. It's up to you to skin him. Thank you for watching. See you soon.